LGBT is the Muslim world. And the powers that be in the West are asking one question: how do we get Muslims to accept homosexuality and the gay and trans lifestyle? The answer to this question is clear for them, because they have used a strategy to get America and Europe to accept LGBT. Two gay media strategists, Marshall Kirk and Hunter Madsen, developed a 6-point plan for what they called overhauling straight America. This strategy they published in 1987 and was later developed into a larger book called After the Ball. The purpose of this strategy was to mainstream LGBT. And the strategy was so successful that within 20 years, they were able to turn a deeply conservative Christian country, the United States, into a country that celebrates openly every aspect of the LGBT ideology. Now we see the same exact strategy with some slight modifications being used on the Muslim world. And if we allow this strategy to play out and be executed, then it's likely that the Muslim world will adopt and celebrate LGBT even faster than it was accepted in the West. So what are the components of this 6-point plan? Point number 1, talk about gays and homosexuality as much as possible, as loudly as possible. The goal is to desensitize. You want to make homosexuality something that is seen as completely normal, something that is completely mainstream. And you want the public to not be shocked by homosexual or transgender behavior. Ideally, they want Muslims to think about sexual preference in the way that you think about flavors of ice cream or favorite sports. I like chocolate, she likes ice cream. I like cricket, he likes football. I'm heterosexual, she's homosexual. This is the kind of normality that they're aiming for. Key to desensitization is to introduce gay and trans elements through cultural venues, TV, movies, music, books. And that way you're going to accelerate the desensitization and the normalization process. Point number 2, this is critical. You have to portray gays as victims, not as aggressive challengers. There is a huge non-bullying campaign. The point of these anti-bullying campaigns is to portray gays as victims who need protection and they need support. If they're successful in portraying homosexuals as victims, then that will create a natural reflex to want to protect that group. Ideally, the homosexual is portrayed as someone who's young, someone who is attractive, someone who looks normal by all accounts, but someone who is bullied, is a victim. In this way, the homosexual is transformed in the mind of a Muslim. In the mind of a Muslim, homosexuality is associated with Qawm Lut, and they were by no means victims. They were in fact the aggressor. But through an anti-bullying message, the homosexual is transformed into an innocent victim and indeed a symbol of innocence in need of protection. Point number 3, give the protectors a just cause. So anyone who's outside of the newly identified victims, the LGBT community, takes on this protector role. They need a just cause that they can rally behind. What is this just cause? You can make it about diversity. And this is something that Muslims already value because of Islam. So make LGBT a part of the diversity that Muslims can celebrate. You can also give Muslims the just cause of protecting rights. Protecting huquq is an important part of standing for justice within Islam. Muslims are not going to support the homosexual act itself. So that has to be decentered. What should be the center of concern is anti-discrimination. Are you going to discriminate and bully and unfairly condemn these poor innocent victims? That's the narrative that needs to be propagated throughout the Muslim world. By focusing on anti-discrimination, no longer is homosexuality about men penetrating each other's rectums in a kind of sexual fetish. That's not a cause that anyone would get behind. In fact, it's a cause that Muslims would